Alright, what up, YouTube? Now to continue reading off of my notes. The strength and power is added to one's essence. The next step is balance of good and bad. This can only be achieved by experience of these and acceptance of them. This leads to understanding, sorrow, virtue, and abundance. Okay, now the first part, the strength and power is added to one's essence. That's dealing with the last video that I posted. Now, I'm not going to go back and explain everything that I talked about in the last video. But when I say strength and power, I'm talking about things that people have learned about themselves and they have accepted that, and it has grown inside of them for something that's bettering themselves. Okay, that's strength and power adding to one's essence. I'll go back to my example of eating better for better health, right? Okay, my strength and power in that situation was knowing that I was eating to better my health and then finding out that it was bettering my health. That in turn boosts my self-esteem and belief in myself. So that's what I mean by strength and power. That belief in myself then heightens, you know, my own drive or whatever. That is added to my essence. Okay? That becomes who I am. Eating better has boosted my belief in myself and has strengthened me. So that's what I mean by strength and power becoming one, going into one's essence. All right, so now let's see. The next step is balance of good and bad. This can only be achieved by experience of these and acceptance of them. All right, now in your life, there are a multitude of things that you do, and at the point when you do them, you can't really differentiate between whether they're good or bad. You don't know. You always feel you're making the best decision or option, but you figure out later in your life that it maybe wasn't, right? So that's why I said that balance of good and bad can only be achieved through the experience and acceptance of them. So past situations that you have done or been in, you can only now start to see whether they were good or bad to you. Okay? And you can only figure out whether they're good or bad by accepting what has happened in those situations or occurrences. All right. So that's what I mean by, you know, a balance of good and bad that can only be achieved by experience and acceptance of them. Okay. And then I said that this leads to understanding, sorrow, virtue, and abundance. Okay. So by going through certain things in your life and then later reflecting on them and then coming to accept them as good or bad for your life, this in turn leads to you understanding more in depthly about yourself and and why you did certain things. Okay, that's what I mean by understanding. Now, sorrow, virtue, and abundance. By looking back on those things, all kinds of emotions or whatever might come up, but you begin to see more better things showing, your virtue and basically the multitude or the collective thought of yourself of what you've been doing. You see what I'm saying? So the whole point of that is for you to be able to clear up things in your life. All right, so now I'm going to explain why that is important. Okay. Bringing balance of good and bad things in your life and learning to accept those things is what's going to give you a clearer mindset. You want a clearer mindset so that you can set more better goals for yourself to follow. You see what I'm saying? So having a more clearer understanding of the good and bad things or whatever, or a nice balance in your life of good and bad, and knowing what you have done is going to lead you to want to understand more or beginning to understand more about yourself. All right. And that's what the whole point of this part of what I just read is saying. Is you need to understand yourself. And the key to understanding yourself is looking back on past occurrences and learning to accept those things as good or bad. Stop mediating between whether they were good, whether they were both or whatever. You need to clearly differentiate in your past what was good and what was bad and accept those things. Don't say like, yeah, this or that happened and it just happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? No, you need to look back and then clearly differentiate between good and bad and accept that for what it was. Only through that will you begin to understand yourself better. Okay? All right.